What's up, everybody? I'm live. I'm going to jump straight into it. Even though right now I'm just talking to the camera, there's nobody here. The title of this video is "You Sell to the Masses and You Live with the Classes." That was actually something that my dad told me when I was like 14 or 15 years old. And at that point in my life, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I'm one of 8 kids, two other brothers, so 3 boys. And my dad could see from a very early age that I was not going to be cut from the traditional, vibe of, hey, you're going to school, college, and then pursue a career in corporate America. He could see that really early. And I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And he gave me a lot of really cool lessons. And that was one of them that I'll never forget was if you sell to the masses, you live with the classes. And as I've pursued my career, some of the biggest hurdles I have crossed by learning some of the most basic and simple things. And today I want to talk to you about the one that my mentor, my digital mentor, if you will, Gary Bencivenga, called the golden key of persuasion. Now, before I give you the key of persuasion, in Gary Bencivenga's final seminar, when he left and he said, hey, after however many years of selling over $40 billion worth of advertising space, the guy said, hey, I'm giving away all my secrets. And he started out a 3-day conference with the who's who of marketers. Gary Halbert was there. John Carlton was there. There was basically Dan Kennedy was there. The who's who of the direct marketing space was there in that meeting to hear the wisdom and knowledge and experience of Gary Bencivenga. And he started out on day one. The first story he told was a story about Captain John Raid. So I'm going to tell you that story, and then I'm going to tell you the golden key of persuasion. Okay. Captain John Raid was a fishing captain in the Northeast during a time where some of the world's most notorious, like the best fishermen lived. Okay. In fact, I think the movie Jaws was inspired after a captain that came from that exact same region. So you had some of the best fisheries in the world and some of the best fishing captains in the world, all harnessed and hubbed in one geographic location in the Northeast of the US. And out of all of the captains in that area, if you were to question anyone who they thought the best captain of them all were, they would say Captain John Raid. And not just because the guy caught a ton of fish, but how he caught them. While everybody else would go out with fishing line, drag lines, and nets and all that kind of stuff, John Raid would go out with hook and reel on a crappy boat. And as a commercial fisherman, he would catch his limit on a daily basis almost. And so when he retired, everybody knew that this guy was a guy. And when he retired, he was interviewed by a local journalist. He said, John, you're retiring. What's the secret? How is it that you've been so successful as a fisherman in such competitive waters? How have you done it? And he said, the problem with most fishermen is they think like fishermen. When I go fishing, I think like a fish. Think on that. Think on that for just a minute. Now, the lesson here is that you can't create a product without a prospect, or you can't have a product without a problem, or a prospect who has a problem. And these are fundamentals in business, but most of the time people skip over that. Now, if you were to hear that story, it would resonate with you quickly what was being conveyed in terms of the information. You'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Think like a fish. It would give you new perspective and hopefully a new skill that you could flex and exercise as you become a skilled direct response marketer and advertiser. Well, then what then is the key of persuasion? It is how you transfer information from one brain to another, the communication, the style of communication. I was just looking what spawned this whole thing. I was looking at the pitch deck of a friend, and he sent it over to me. He said, I'd love to get your thought back on this. And I will say it was beautiful. It was incredibly well put together. The graphics were great. The data was great. And as I was going through from slide to slide, I was impressed by the appearance. But I told him, I said, here's your one problem with this pitch is it lacks the golden key of persuasion, which is this: stories. Stories sell ideas. How you use stories, whether you're persuading people, whether you're teaching, the idea of how to find a prospect and a problem, like the story of John Raid, how you use those stories is up to you. And there's a lot of different types. This doesn't mean that you just get up and start telling stories all day long, right? In fact, the golden key of persuasion is called a metaphor. Okay. And if you saw Alex Hormozi's, which I got the book, if you haven't seen, saw Alex Hormozi's webinar, one of the things that I think he did masterfully in that webinar was a consistent use of metaphors. Russell Brunson calls them kind of like bridges. It's kind of like, right? It's kind of like having a money tree in your backyard. When I say, when I give people an idea of what to expect from Facebook ads, I say, Facebook ads are not a vending machine. These metaphors, these ideas are meant to convey information from an experienced person like you, like me, to somebody that we want to persuade to buy our services, to buy our products. And they don't have the same perspective. They haven't been putting in the hundreds and thousands of hours that we have. So how do we bring them up to speed on what that we're doing and why our ideas are the winning? It's the only way to do it is to cultivate stories that deliver those messages. Okay. And so if you're doing demo calls, if you're doing webinars, if you're doing ads, whatever it is you're doing, the right type of story will carry with it an immense amount of success. So I'm going to cap it off there. This is a 7-minute video. I think that storytelling is the thing that I think about almost most. If I have a new idea I want to get across, thinking, how do I get this through in a story? Because if people are going to actually learn this, it needs to be encompassed in the proper vehicle, which is a story. So thanks for watching. By the way, if you're not subscribed, get subscribed. If you're not part of the UpHex community, go onto Facebook, get in the community. The links are in the description below. We got a lot of cool stuff going, including I made an announcement today about a really cool acquisition that we are putting the final points on, and could have big implications for you as Team UpHex. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.